Definitely. I couldn't agree more. And, well, let's go ahead and get this started right from the get-go. Gonna see what our first item is here at the Uncle. Or at least in Link's house anyway. The Magic Mirror. Ooh.
That's a pretty fun find right off the bat.
Yeah, that's gonna save him even some time here in the escape portion as well, as we get a quick map check, all 3 crystals in the light world. But yeah, once we get Zelda, we can automatically use that mirror and warp straight to the beginning and shave quite a bit of time just with having that mirror in our possession here.
It's one of the 2 best items to have for the escape. The mirror and then obviously the boots in the escape are amazing. The mirror's so nice.
It is, and oh, I feel like I kind of jinxed that one. We do have a bomb escape here. Only 10 bombs to work with. We could get another item that might be more helpful, but getting some more bombs in the Uncle Cave as well. But yeah, both of our runners have to be very careful with these bombs, because once you run out, you have to kind of save and quit to refill your stock, unless you get lucky and find more along the way.
And even with the bombs in the drop, they don't help you when you start with 10 and are stuck with all 10. It's a cruel twist of fate. Ooh, but that red rupee's good.
It is, yeah. One good thing that is about Bomb Escape, though, is that if you use your bombs just fine, you will actually have bombs for the cracked wall at the end. So you'll be able to get those 3 items, assuming you have at least 1 left over. So that's one thing that I don't have to worry about enemy farming.
Yes, and there are some pretty well-known and tested strats for these bomb escapes now, too. That...
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Did that first bomb not hit on...
Hitboxes
are weird.
Yeah, hitboxes are definitely weird. Looks like, yeah, Gus did not get that first kill, unfortunately, that first bomb, but still has plenty to work with, so shouldn't be too much of an issue, but definitely will have to be a little more cautious in the following rooms, as DT is going to start his setup now. Really nice.
That's how it's supposed to look if the first one goes off correctly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Gus gets the second blue guard just fine and gets the bow, and we have some arrows, so the age of bomb escape is over.
Yes, now you can focus on saving the bombs for the back of the escape and the village.
Ooh, unfortunately, DT
having a little bit of a runaround.
That won't work either. Oh my gosh. Green guard, please. Well, at least he'll have the bow here, so, you know, it is somewhat of a reassurance that he was able to pick that up. And Gus, forgetting that he actually has the mirror right here, is actually opting to walk back.
Oh, yes. That's going to cost a little bit of time, but isn't something you really think about if you're just getting it right off the bat.
Yeah, of course. Like, I mean, if you do, like, no major glitches runs of the vanilla Link to the Past game, you don't have the mirror at this point, so if you do a lot of those, you might just be kind of running on muscle memory, but he does remember before it's too late, and, you know, at least saves a little bit of time on the walk back.
DD picking up an 8 bomb drop off the green guard to refill his bombs. That's pretty big.
It really is, definitely. That'll give him not only bombs for the end here, but also for the first part of the Light World excavation, too. So definitely a good find for him.
With the bombs removed from the pool, the bomb upgrades, and put in the shop, which they're not even in this mode, are they? So it's hard. I always want to have full bombs and try to keep near full arrows, especially if I have the bow.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And, you know, one thing we haven't gone over yet is this is hard mode. So for those who are unaware of what hard mode kind of adds to the mix is For one, you'll definitely find that safeties are less common. You won't get the gold sword, you won't get the red mail. Silver arrows, you'll get them, but they're only usable during the Ganon fight. And there's a bunch of other things too. Half the heart containers and heart pieces are in the pool. So overall, it's definitely still completable. Just, if you're kind of rely on those safeties, you'll not have them as much. So because we don't have the use of silver arrows, having full arrows is definitely very important for sure.
Oh, hey, the hammer. That's good.
Very good, definitely.
And Gus also getting the 8 bomb drop off the rat. Luckily, that rat ran into his bomb. Worked out well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So, even with, Gus kind of forgetting to mirror and then DT's trouble with the green guard, both having really good looking escape times despite those. So definitely really good to both runners for making it through here with some time to spare. Generally, you hear like the 6-minute escape is kind of what you want to aim for. And looks like they're both going to be just getting just under that.
Yeah, nice times for both players. Especially with a bomb start.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
A pseudo bomb start.
Yeah. Half bomb start, half bow start. And you even get a nice little hammer at the end there, too.
So we're going to see Gus come up here and immediately start checking tree pulls. This is the tier 2 tree pull because of everything he killed in escape, plus taking damage?
Yes, I believe so. I mean, he's missing some hearts, so he definitely got hit at some point. Also going to be looking inside the lumberjack tree here. Will Aghanim... Well, Aghanim will be required no matter what. This is all dungeons, but for this particular item, we have a heart piece, so not going to be killing Aghanim for that, which means we could potentially save him for last.
That would be the ideal thing to do, is save it for last, if you can.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
But you never know. The hammer, the hope is, you're already one step closer to Dark World access, so you don't have to worry about getting it for Dark World access.
Yep, very, very true. As we get just some rupees and some arrows inside the Lost Woods, so guess that means we're going to Kakariko next.
Yes, and we will see what the village holds. It's got a ton of items, so there's bound to be something there. Or more likely, just nothing, and, everything's down on the South Shore.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, you are definitely right. We get, 13 items with the potential, if we find the bottle or powder, we could get a couple more out of this, too. Even with the boots, we can get an extra one from that as well. So, yeah, a lot of opportunities to get some great items here. Let's see what we get inside the greenhouse.
Well, there's the bottle we want.
Mm-hmm. That'll add Sick Kid to the mix.
And DT just destroying the blocks. Doesn't even want to push them out of the way. Just they're gone now.
Gotta save those frames, I guess.
Just the beauty of the mirror. It's so broken.
It really is. It makes me wish I knew that the mirror could do that when I was a kid. Just kind of ignore some of these dumb little block puzzles that I just couldn't think of the answer for when I was younger because I had zero patience, literally.
And so far in the well, just some money and a piece of heart. Oh, more ammo. That's good.
Hey,
so
good.
4 hearts already for this. This is shaping up to be, an okay heart seed.
And the hook shot from the bottle vendor as well. That's a really nice tool to get early.
All right, now the hammer and the hook shot. Now I'm skeptical about the Aga play already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, once we get that Death Mountain access, that's a lot more we can do up there. So Aga's kind of floating a little bit of way right now.
More bombs. That's always good. Save your money. Don't have to buy them.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, especially kind of during in the early game. Bombs will be very important to go to certain item locations, but kind of later on in the game, you don't really think about them as much. You'll be fighting a lot more enemies, so you're more prone to find the bomb drops, and there's also a lot of bomb spawns you can get inside dungeons under pots as well, so getting them early game is very important, as we see just a blue rupee in the library. Not going to need the boots for that.
It's all the arrow drops in the early game and the bomb drops in the late game.
Yeah, really.
No need for the red rupee at the maze race. So just back to the house.
Wondering if either our runners here, you know, they could be looking at that bow and thinking, you know, an Eastern play wouldn't be too unorthodox to do right now, and I think DT might be kind of heading in that direction.
That is what it appears. So we're going to see just some money on the hilly island, so no need to come back for that.
And Gus using the hook shot very brilliantly to latch onto the treasure chest as he's moving the block so he can grab the item inside there, which is another heart container, as well as drain the water in one cycle and not having to come back in here after getting one.
I guess it's not so much that the mirror's broken, it's that blocks are broken more than...
Yeah, that's a good point.
So some more health for DT also in the old man's closet.
Meanwhile, Gus is checking out Mini Moldarm Cave. Hookshot making very, very quick work of those mini snakes. So, gonna see what's inside here. The Fire Rod. Blue Boomerang. Another heart piece. Single blue rupee and another heart piece to give him a 6 container.
That's a pretty nice find in the Fire Rod. Unfortunately, in hard mode, though, the Boomerang's pretty useless outside of cool Gan's tower strats, but...
Yeah, because I believe in hard mode, Boomerang no longer stuns, so you can really only use the hook shot for that at this point.
It appears we're going to see Gus going all the way over to Ice Rod Cave, while DT is dipping into Eastern Palace and probably will finish it.
Yeah, at this point, Eastern Palace not within the logic to finish right now. We still need the lamp for that, but if you know your dark rooms, you can very easily complete this. Just have to get through really just two, 3 rooms of darkness, and 2 of them are really not that bad if you've played this game enough and you kind of know the layout of the room well enough, as Gus finds the flute inside the Ice Rod Cave.
And that's huge. There's your Death Mountain access.
Yeah, it's your Death Mountain access, and, you know, there's always, you know, there's some runners who opt not to check that Ice Rod location until they have the flute, just because of how out of the way it is. But with the flute now, Gus has free range to warp all over the Light World, so that'll definitely give him a huge advantage here.
And it's like, I would probably go straight up and do Hera. I mean, everything on the way to Hera too, but Hera looks really attractive right now.
Really does. We also get a hint from the hint tile here that a piece of heart is on a tablet, so could be either Ether or Bombo's tablet. We'll have to find that out later.
Assuming we find the book.
That's true. Yeah, we do need that book for that.
And ring around the windmill there. Okay, I lied. The boomerang has 1 use. Here we go. Echo location.
Yeah, when you don't have a sword, using boomerang or even hookshot is actually very valuable in these dark rooms. Kind of determine your general location. Again, if you know the layout, you can kind of just work your way around through the walls and kind of get back with no issues.
And DT through the Eastern Palace dark rooms. Well, Gus is almost back out of Death Mountain. Old man in tow.
Hey, who gets the magic red shield from the old man as DT gets red rupee from the big key chest.
That'll be the biggest shield we see.
That's right. That's true. That's true.
We've maxed out. Oh no! And
oh!
Between the dead rocks and the boulders. Death Mountain living up to its name today.
Definitely. And now DT using his tools very efficiently to get rid of all those ropes, as well as determining where the Igor is to get the small key he needs. And now he just needs to make it out, and he does. He is through the worst of it, and all he has to do is fight the Armos Knights now.
That's a much harder room than it looks, the way he just did it in the dark.
It really is, and if Gus decides to come back and do Eastern Palace also in the dark, he actually has the added benefit of the fire rod, so he can at least light the torches in the room to kind of see his way through a bit more, but DT did that room very, very well.
And back to the hook shot for just a second. Take out all those guys. No sword for the easy sword strats. Oh, and hey, there's a power glove.
Well, DT getting into position for the Armos Knights, gonna take them all out. Will he get the quick kill? I think so. Very nicely done.
And the good luck arrow into the wall. All good runs end with an arrow in the wall.
Of course, it's a staple. And oh, there's the book we talked about. Also get the Quake Medallion, the cape. 10 arrows and another heart container. Wow, 3 unique items here in the Paradox Cave, or 4 if you count the Power Glove too.
Yeah, that's a very lucrative play.
And it does look like DT is going to be heading south, probably to make the same checks that Gus has already made. So he'll, at the very least, assuming he does go all the way to Ice Rod Cave, will probably be making the same play Gus is. So he's not going to be missing out too much longer. Just decided to take down the Eastern Palace a bit before.
Oh, and there's the Cane of Samaria. So we already have the mirror, so that's not too big of an issue. Once we get Dark Death Mountain access, we'll have access to that.
Yeah, the Cane of Samaria will definitely be required, especially in all dungeons, because we'll need that for Turtle Rock and Misery Mire. Even if they are pendants, all dungeons must be cleared as well as Agate Towers, so you're going to get the whole range of all the dungeons in this particular race. And we get the boots as well. Death Mountain really paying out today.
And that's a great play, because now with the mirror, you can just go over to Hera on that side.
Oh, that is a really great play. Definitely.
Otherwise, you wouldn't get the boots until after Hera, and that worked out really well.
It really did, definitely. There aren't like a huge number of rooms you can run through in Hera, but it's still just, you know, just for general overworld routing and stuff, it's really nice to have. And
oh, and there are the arrows that won't work anywhere, but they're good to have. Save the time off the Ganon fight. Maybe not even be worth it to pick them up because of how long it takes to get them, actually.
May not pick him up yet. Potentially could, like, after he finishes Hera, because, you know, we did check the other side of Death Mountain. We got all the items on the light side, so could potentially see him pick that up, because there is also a hint there, too, and that might also be worth having the knowledge of.
That is true. I generally always check that blind now just because of the hint. And then see green, and it, yeah.
Definitely.
So now DT is going to get the flute. Unlock the world. First item in here is only a red rupee. Just like that. Just more green. So no having to wait out the tile room today. At least yet today.
Yeah. We still have that potential, but for now we're going to keep on climbing and, you know, going to get another hint. Hopefully get the other item we need out of the way. And then Tower of Hera should go down pretty quickly.
And just a couple of quick smacks with the hammer to the Moldorm, and it's all good.
Well, hint, we already knew that. We've already been to Kakariko well, but still, I guess, could be helpful maybe if you need some cash and you haven't gone there by some means, but not going to be a big deal for our runners. So very quickly, as Thalfon in chat points out, the Ether tablet was checked, and there was a piece of heart on there. So, you know, we should probably still get the Bombos tablet checked. We don't need to come back up for the piece of heart, obviously. Bombos tablet could also be a piece of heart, but it could more than likely be something else. So we'll definitely need to check that to see what we can find.
Indeed. And Gus, nicely done with the hammer on the Moldorm. And it's the key. Why did I open my mouth?
So yeah, probably going to need to check that tile room. Some runners may opt to gamble on not needing it because it is a really long check, but you know, you always run that risk of leaving something very, very important behind. So I imagine, yep, he's going to be heading right back in there.
Oh, right by the mini Moldorm. Excellent. DT is now through the dark room with the old man. Gus just going to sit on the tile and just wait.
Well, it does look like he's taken a million shots to the face right now because he is on the peg. He will not be taking any damage. He'll have those invincibility frames until he decides to move off of that, so he is just fine. Is not taking any damage whatsoever.
Breaks over, back to work.
Okay, what did we come back in the Tower of Hera for?
A unique item. That's
It's
the
a
hint DT just got.
Ooh, okay.
So DT's now setting up this bomb jump. Gus is going to get the hint too and be slightly disappointed. Nicely done with DT for the bomb jump there. Get right across without having to run out of the dungeon. The cave. Alright, so we have green pendant Turtle Rock. They look like red pendant Pod.
Yeah, Pod and Thieves Town are the other pendants, and I believe we had red crystals at Ice Palace and Swamp Palace.
Okay, so we're not going to see flippers at the pyramid today. Maybe on it, not inside.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And the better boomerang, even though they're both worthless, in the Bonk Rocks.
So we are kind of getting down to that point where... Oh, well, okay, there's the Moon Pearl.
We found more progression.
We did, and Gus is going to go straight in there for that. That's going to be our Dark World access, and
Gus can full clear desert here too.
Yes, he can. Yep, I was just looking at that. Yeah, we have the glove, we have a fire source, we have boots. Desert can be cleared. All three Light World dungeons can be cleared immediately.
A lot of things early in the games given our runners today.
Yeah, we have a pretty healthy inventory right now for sure. A sword would definitely be nice. That would definitely be really nice to have, but you know, we have a lot of weapons, we have a lot of utility items, we find the piece of heart is above the pose on the graveyard ledge.
This kind of hint.
Okay, there is one of our items in Desert Palace.
So Gus is going to opt to go kill Landmolus and hope the item is there. Since you have to come back and check Agana, it's not that big of a deal because you can just route that through desert and check those items anyway on the way to the Agana cave.
Oh yeah, definitely. Really smart routing by Gus here. Will definitely save, you know, it'll save some time for sure. DT going in for round 2 against Moldorm. Unfortunately did take a fall, but does get him down, and that is his second dungeon completed.
Had 2 crystals to 1 on Gus's side. Gus is about to get crystal 2. With Turtle Rock being the green pendant, you know what that means, right? The Ice Rod could be in Ganon's tower.
Ooh, that is very true.
Now that I'm looking at things.
Yeah, at this point, Palace of Darkness and Thieves Town, you know, obviously you'd need the lamp for logical completion of Palace of Darkness, but it seems like both of our runners can handle dark rooms just fine. But yeah, those dungeons are pretty much close to the logic anyway, but that Ice Rod for Turtle Rock could be a ways away.
It's that item that can be literally anywhere, and it's awful. But it's also what's fun about Rando, right?
Mm-hmm.
Things like that.
Yeah, one just random check could end up giving our runners that Ice Rod. We do get our second item from Desert Palace on Lamno, so Gus doesn't have to go back into the front side, can just literally just jump off and go straight for Agena.
Fortunately, Kane doesn't do a whole lot in this mode. It doesn't make you invulnerable, so while it can deal damage, it's not a good safety.
I believe it still works for like spikes and stuff, for like Spike Cave and whatnot, but yeah, against like normal enemies, it'll have the damage dealing aspect, but you will still take damage from enemies.
Okay, I think everything functions normally in Spike Cave.
Mm-hmm. Just a piece of heart from Agena, so Gus is out of here. I'm wondering if he might actually start working on his Dark World access, or no, he's getting the flute out, which I guess he still could, but let's just see what he's gonna do.
I think realization has set in, and there's the boots for DT.
Yeah.
And with the hammer and the gloves as your entrance, I really like coming down here first and always checking Hype Cave. It's so slow to go up north to Kakariko.
Yeah. And you also got to keep in mind that Gus has not touched Eastern Palace yet, so he has the option to go kind of to the right side and work on Eastern and Pod together with that mirror, which is also pretty clever routing as well.
Oh, well,
Oh,
there's that ice rod. No dipping Ganon's tower for it today.
and a
the
sword upgrade, too.
Perfect. Game is free. Boots and the sword.
Yeah, definitely.
DT's about to get the rest of his treasure trove. Oh, no. Why do I open my mouth ever? Game is free. Dead.
It is Dark World, so...
Dark World and hard. Alright, so now,
Yeah.
with sword in hand, Gus will flute away. DT also gonna flute away from the mountain. Just as you suspected, the pod side of things.
Mm-hmm. Yep, 2 dungeons. Like, he hasn't seen what's in Eastern yet, so that's 3 items there. 5 items in pod, and he also has Sashrala as well. That's 3 more items, so a lot of potential for just further progression here, and I can definitely understand making this play.
DT coming behind through desert again. Gonna get the Moon Pearl and probably do the same thing. Go kill Landmolus.
We'll see if he does the same type of routing Gus did, though, by opting to go straight for Lamno after these next finds.
Gus is forgetting something.
You need a monkey.
That's one of the quirks with the mirroring right there. You have to leave and come back in to get Kiki to follow you. And DT is doing the right-hand side. Will be disappointed when he gets the map right here.
And Gus unfortunately loses Kiki on the way. If you do take damage, you'll have to go get Kiki again. And you will have to pay the 10 rupee finder's fee as well, which is also kind of annoying.
And DT with the hook shot on the antlion.
Yeah, he actually avoided that earlier by using the fire rod, which immediately kills the enemy and gets rid of the quicksand as well. But when you use the hook shot, as you can see right there, it just pushes the enemy out and stuns it, but the whirlpool is still active, unfortunately.
And with the small key, we can progress further without having to go to the left side right away. Makes for a little easier routing of the dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not anymore.
Yeah, this is where things get, I don't necessarily want to say complicated, but yeah, we don't have that small key, so we can't get the big key chest, so gonna jump down here, get another key generally, and go back to the backside to clear the bow lock chests.
Now, depending on what's on the bow locked side, then we'll know what's in that big key chest. Ooh, that's another one of those good hints.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, unique items. Basically, any Y and A item that only appears once. I think the only items that don't really account for that are the swords and the bottles. But any of those...
The gloves also.
Right, the glove. Okay, yeah, that's right.
I know they added the gloves to that.
Mm-hmm. And also the single arrow, but I want to say we've picked that up already, so...
Yes, we got that early on in the escape.
Oh, well, there is a unique item right there. That is the Ether Medallion.
Best kind of hints.
But just because we found one unique item doesn't mean that there can't be another one, so we're still obviously gonna full clear this and see if we can find something else along the way.
I believe the big key chest here has to be a small key.
Yeah, I believe so. Basically, the randomizer kind of assumes that you'll use the keys in the absolute worst way. So, you know, if you open a door and you need keys, there's going to be a small key there just so you don't get, like, soft-locked out of the dungeon.
So now DT checking the Hermit's Cave. Gus is heading to the back. And another small key.
I believe we still have one more left to find as we find the big key there.
Slightly larger than a small key. Just a little bit.
And there's the final small key, so we'll find pretty much nothing but items and, you know, the other of the map and compass that we haven't found yet. The compass, okay. DT actually checked the mushroom, or the witch's hut item. Just some health, that's about it, and he's going to be fluting off somewhere else now. Looks like Gus is also going to be attempting the hammer jump as well.
That's what it appeared, but at one heart, the hammer jump's a little hard to pull off.
That's true. Okay, maybe not then.
I think that was his thought, and then...
Yeah, he realized. It's like, oh wait, this is a bad idea.
Alright, now DT going to get some information.
Release me so I can go bzzz. I think that's a bee in the bottle.
I don't think we'll be coming back to save the poor bee encased in carbonite.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And oh, unfortunately, Gus taken a death inside the Palace of Darkness dark room.
However, having got the first chest in the top left, with the hammer jump now with more hearts, it's a little easier to get the bottom right chest.
Yeah, definitely a little easier and a lot faster too, so we'll be able to quickly clear this if he does get the hammer jump, as DT actually takes the other route to the Dark World, so he is checking out the Village of Outcasts area now, it looks like. Gonna check some of the kind of the northern locations first, see what's on Bumper Cave, and etc, etc.
And if you have the cape, might as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right away. And... I mean, that might be a very important 20 rupees. You never know. If it is, we won't find out.
DT also has the option to check out the King's Tomb as well, but opts not to do that just yet.
And there is an item on the Helmasaur King.
Yes,
oh, and there's DT's sword.
Okay, so we do know where two of the sword upgrades are. Now, I mentioned before we won't get the gold sword in hard mode, but there are still 4 sword locations. Once you get your third one, I believe the last one changes into a different rupee denomination, basically. And oh wow, the Titan's mitts inside the chess game.
All right, all the thing I said about going up there and it being slow, you have to go up there this time. I guess you don't have to. You can hook shot, but that's even slower.
Right, right.
What great progression on both sides of the route divergence.
Yeah, definitely. Couldn't agree more. I mean, Gus got that ice rod, which, you know, we will need. It's a very kind of very situational item that we only need for one thing in the game. And DT getting the Titan's mitts, that pretty much unlocks the rest of the Dark World checks for him. So he has kind of free range of where he can go next. So definitely great finds on both ends, as Gus is attempting probably the hardest dark room in Palace of Darkness, but he does have the Fire Rod, which will make this upcoming room a bit easier if he gets the torch lit.
And turtles, when you can see them, are a little bit easier than turtles completely in the dark. Look at that. Nicely done.
Yeah, very well done. Still has to make it through this one last dark room, though. Just a few turtles on the way.
Before hitting the switch, DT's going to find out this hint. Not as good of a hint as some of the other ones.
Not really. There's a lot of NPCs that refer to as someone friendly, and you know, someone friendly could still have something useful, but it just picked a random friendly NPC and gave bombs to him, and that's the hint we got, unfortunately, as Gus takes down the Helmasaur King, gets a red rupee, but does get one of the pendants that he will need to finish this seed.
Yes, and there's some nice cape strats in that. Using the cape hole in the wall to dodge the fireballs. Nice fight.
Oh yeah, definitely. You always have to think that, you know, in this particular scenario, we're actually fighting Helmasaur with less equipment than what we'd have in the vanilla game. Normally we'd have the Master Sword, but just with Fighter Sword, you know, we have less options in terms of how we can damage, and he'll take a bit longer to die as well.
That's my favorite part about Randomizer, seeing all the different strats, especially on boss fights.
Oh yeah, I couldn't agree more.
And like we were saying, easy mirror over to Eastern Palace, knock out both these dungeons right back to back. Depending on how the dark room goes, which it should be fine with the fire rod. Be getting both players on 4 dungeons completed right about the same time.
Yeah, and they still have like other options too, so you know they're definitely making some good progress with mitts. DT could check a few more overworld things, or even get some valuable intel in terms of like what medallions he might need for this seed. And you know, Gus still has to go over to the west side of Dark World as well.
Yeah, I bet that's where we see Gus head after Eastern is over towards the Village of Outcasts.
Really solid blind fight from DT. Gets his pendants. Different color pendant than the one Gus got, but still a pendant that he'll need to get nonetheless. It is all dungeons after all.
Every single one. Except for the one that's in the GBA game.
Yeah, that one doesn't count. I wonder if they did ever make like a randomizer for the GBA version, if it would actually include that in the randomizer pool. That'd be interesting.
I think it's best just to pretend that the GBA game doesn't exist.
That's also a fair point.
Now DT heading up to Skull Woods with the sword can finish it. Gonna go ahead and check this chest on the way, just because it's inconvenient. Well, gonna try to check that chest. Wallmaster says not this time. Come back in a minute.
Yeah, Wallmaster being very can't let you do that, Star Fox, today, unfortunately.
But gets through.
Ooh.
And is worth, completely and totally worth the effort to get back there.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, I'm looking at the items, especially at the items that Gus has right now. You know, we could potentially be in no mode at this point, because we know where Kana Samaria is. It just depends on what those medallions are for Misery Mire and Turtle Rock.
Yes, it's could be a very quick seed. I see Gus also with the arrow in the wall. You know it's going to be a good run on both sides.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, back to the Dark World. I guess we're going to get to see the pyramid. Pyramid up to Catfish, and then mirror to Zora. Oh, wait. Yeah, that would work. It's just not as good without the flippers. But it's still a good play. Don't get me wrong. Anytime you can combine Catfish with buying something from Zora and seeing the ledge, you're doing all right. And this moth fight.
He is down to 1 health. Would have to be kind of careful here. Does get him down, though.
Whew. Gets that big key for his troubles. But more importantly, a crystal.
As we saw, we did get a very important item in here in the form of the flippers, too, so...
Yeah, the flippers didn't even like pseudo required. You have to go to Swamp Palace.
Yeah.
Gus says no thank you to the bug net on the pyramid. It can't catch fairies, so why?
Yeah, and we can get a bottle of a bee on the pedestal anyway, so no big deal.
Oh, and just keys in the back half of the dungeon.
I still think we need to see the front, though, so I think DT did the clear the back strat first, which is generally a pretty good plan, because if you get all the items, you don't have to worry about kind of going around and planning around the key order of the front half.
Oh, and the mushroom is getting routed into here. That's a nice play.
Mm-hmm.
And with DT having a small key, can just go in this door and not really have to worry at all.
May not even have to bomb jump for the big chest. But it looks like he's still going to do it anyway.
And into the prison room. Hope has to go all the way for the last chest. And completely and totally worth all the time he spent getting that red rupee. It's a very valuable. Or it's not, I'm not sure.
And with how expensive video games are these days, any amount of money helps.
Oh, and there's a mail upgrade for Gus.
Ooh.
From the Catfish on the way to the Zora.
So DT actually heading back to Death Mountain. You know, obviously he knows that Kana Samaria is up there, He's also going to be checking on what the medallion is for Turtle Rock, so he'll have that information. So once he does get the particular medallion, if he doesn't have it, he'll know when he's kind of in that go mode state.
Yeah, there's so many items over here. It's hard to argue with this play.
Mm-hmm.
When you compare it with the Smith sequence and doing South Dark World.
Yeah. Unfortunately, DT also still needs the Ice Rod, which is in that South Dark World location, along with another sword upgrade too, so...
Yes, indeed. Blue Rupee and some more bombs. And now Gus is heading up to the Dark World.
Mm-hmm. Gonna be focusing on the same 2 dungeons that DT just completed. If he combs the area efficiently, he'll get both the Flippers and the Titansmiths, being 1 step closer and having more medallions than DT2, so is probably going to be a bit closer to that go mode state.
Yeah, the Master Sword also in the one house.
Oh, that's true. Yep, that's right.
We're gonna see Skullwoods first, though, because of course you can finish it. Might as well do it first.
Yeah, of course.
So there's the cane for DT coming up. And it might be time to dip into Turtle Rock.
It's Ether.
Nope, gotta go elsewhere. Gotta go over to the east side.
Yep, we did find the Ether Medallion inside Palace of Darkness, so, you know, it's at least comforting to know that he's more than likely going to get the Ice Rod before Pod, so, you know, he probably won't be dipping Turtle Rock without the Ice Rod, at the very least.
And now we're going to see Spike Cave. As a nice finish to this Death Mountain trek. Well, Gus has the Flippers and is heading into the back of Skullwoods.
Just bombs at the end of Spike Cave, so nothing of value there. At least at this point, anyway.
So knowing that the Graveyard Ledge has nothing, DT can just check the King's Tomb right here.
Yeah, and he actually didn't have the mitts beforehand, so this was not really in his mind when he was kind of checking these other areas first, but does pick it up, and he is fluting back to somewhere else. He's going to check the mire area.
Get that other knowledge. It's 3 easy items to check, and you can see you might even be able to get in.
I actually could not see that very well.
It looked like big to me.
And there's the other mail upgrade. Now, again, as I mentioned, much like the sword upgrades, red mail will not work in hard mode, but both mail locations still exist in the game. It's just the other one will turn into a rupee denomination after the fact.
And DT floating away before doing Checkerboard Cave. Straight into the Dark World.
Well, he'll get his Ice Rod at the very least.
Ice Rod and the Master Sword.
That's true. Yeah, that too. So he is just an ether medallion away from go mode, and we know where that ether medallion is.
Yes, it's just over to the right from here. And it's not even like dark room locked.
Ooh, but he is going south.
Gonna probably see Swamp Palace and Bombos together here.
That looks to be it. So unfortunately, Swamp will be quite the time sink, and if when Gus does pick up his mitts as well as a sword upgrade, he could be kind of in that mindset where it's like, well, let me check the areas to see if I'm in go mode, and if he sees that he is, he'll probably start go moding dungeons, and his Swamp will be significantly faster than DT's at that point. Oh, we do get a very helpful hint for Swamp Palace, though.
All the hints are in the right places today. Hey.
Yeah, they really are.
Well, there's the powder. That opens up a check.
Yeah, it opens up a check, and as I think you've explained it before, but powder actually works a bit differently in hard mode in that it will not create fairies from anti-fairies. Instead, it'll create a single heart. It's still health, but not generally the type of restore that you generally come to expect with the powder.
Yes, it is slightly nerfed. Just 1/7 of its previous efficiency. So now we're going to see Thieves Town from Gus.
Okay, so with the knowledge DT does have about the western wing of Swamp, he won't waste a whole lot of time going through here, thankfully.
Yeah, comparatively, it's still going to be slow for checking everything, but it's not the absolute slog that having to wait for the left side of Swamp. Swamp is my least favorite dungeon because there's so much waiting around and it's so slow. Everything takes forever. Even the cutscene at the end. Not that we have to deal with that in Rando, but...
Right. We're also working with Master Sword as opposed to Tempered Sword, unless we find Tempered Sword in here. So because of that, even the boss takes a bit longer as well. So, yeah.
And some bombs in the value chest. And it looks like we were on to the Argus fight just about.
Yeah, the reason DT routed the rooms in that way was to kind of check that single chest first to see if it had the big key. And that way he'd be able to go south, get those two chests, and just walk in the previous room to get to where the big chest is a bit faster. So just kind of a way to just slightly optimize your time in just terms of getting the big key in those 3 locations.
Master Sword Argus. Lots of slashes. Oh, and it appears that Meyer is Ether. according to chat. Going back and checking it out. Thank you, thank you.
Okay, so if DT does kind of route in Pod next as opposed to Ice, you know, it could be a very, very close race. I'd be worried if he'd go to Ice next, because Ice can be quite a long check versus going through it in Go mode.
Yes, it's like Swamp. Ice is night and day from full clear to getting to Go mode it.
Definitely.
Go mode, you bomb jump and fall down a hole and you're good. It's the boss fight. It's over. It's easy.
I wish I knew how to Go mode Swamp when I was a kid, because I hated the dungeon.
So, Bombo's tablet. Alright, that's a thing. And it appears that DT is going into Ice Palace.
Yep, unfortunately, will be a bit of a time sink, but, you know, he does have, let's see, he has 6 crystals. Oh yeah, it looks like Gus is about to get his 6 too, so, you know, depending on how Gus makes these next checks, if he decides to go aggressive once he gets the mitts and determine if he's in Go mode, like, it could still be close, but yeah, we'll just have to see. I guess it's too soon to call that just yet, but DT will be sinking in probably a bit more time here than what Gus will be.
That's a blue pendant to match the red one that he got off the Helmasaur King. And here it is. There's the Titan's Mitts for Gus coming right up. They were in a different chest this time. I see how it is.
And he is bringing out that mirror. He's going to probably start making some checks to see if he is indeed in Go mode. I mean, also activating the guard chase, unfortunately.
At least it's good music.
Yeah, definitely. I love an Randomizer when you just find the guard randomly in the overworld and the music just starts playing.
And yes, Gus seeing it is Ether and Mire.
Still making a few extra checks because he still needs a sword upgrade. Once he got mitts, he immediately got out of there, and because of that, he did miss a very close sword upgrade inside the Village of Outcasts.
Oh yes, yes he did.
So that could be important. That could be very important.
The dangers of Go mode.
Yep.
But this is still good knowledge.
For sure, and, you know, once Gus goes up here, he'll know that, okay, I have both medallions. I can finish Turtle Rock, I can finish Mire. That's pretty much all I need. I know where Samaria is, and, you know, he can kind of approach this in any way he wants. He can still check chests along the way to see if he gets lucky to find that. And we still have to find 2 sword upgrades, too, because, again, all 4 sword upgrades are in the pool. It's just once you get the 3rd one, the last one will change, so... You know, he could still potentially find one as he goes through here, just in normal checks.
And the lamp is out there somewhere, too. Like,
right.
It's not really required at this point, but it's out there somewhere for them to find.
That actually did just make me realize something. This is all dungeons, which means Aga Tower in the dark.
Oh, Aga Tower in the dark isn't all that fun.
It's not.
But, you know, it's doable, especially with the fire rod. It's just not fun.
Right, right.
All the trash in the hookshot cave, except for the cane that's sitting out on top of it. It's all good.
You know, DT is actually making very quick work of these Ice Palace checks, so he's honestly not doing too bad with full clearing this.
No, not at all. That one bomb jump is very, very nice for getting through without having to just sink all the time.
Mm-hmm.
More block glitches and a tempered sword. Ooh. Big chest. That's huge.
Yeah, that is huge, especially getting to this point right here, because Cold Stare very, very quick with tempered swords, so it's definitely good to have that.
Spawning that game. Nicely done. Getting the rest of the magic so he can actually, break the shell.
Yeah, that's right. We are fighting Cold Stare with no Bombos, so we do need a full magic meter here in order to get him down. Or at least the first phase, anyway.
Yep, then it's 8 hits with the sword or 4 spins. Or some combination thereof.
And even if he did run out of magic, I believe he still has a green potion too, so...
You are correct.
But better to keep that, like, if something happens to go wrong on Trinex or one of the other fights we have coming up.
It's only going to give you half a bar of magic anyway.
True. Okay, so that's 7 dungeons done for DT. And he can't get into the other 2 that are available to him right now, so I have to think this is probably going to be a pod play for him now.
That is what it looks like.
Which is good. He'll run into his Aether Medallion, and he will be in the same state that Gus is right now, with a 2-sword advantage on him.
Yes, and swords are so big. Going from Master to Tempered is the biggest upgrade in damage in the game, except for the Silver Arrows, but they don't count as what really.
Mm-hmm.
And a nice Kiki dash there from DT.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of my favorite little things you do in the game.
Yeah, as Aaron Doby is saying in chat, searching the game for a sword upgrade just for the Ganon fight is really annoying. Oh, well. Oh my gosh.
There we go. Speak.
Well.
He has Master Sword now. He can't.
Yes.
He's officially in go mode now. I mean, except for the lamp. But, the lamp doesn't matter. We've proven so far that the lamp is merely a suggestion.
Yeah. It's a pretty good suggestion if it's on the way, but yeah. It is just a suggestion. But yeah, really, really nice for Gus because, sword upgrades, much like the Ice Rod, could literally be anywhere in the game. Like, the only exception are the ones where you need a sword to get by, if, like, you're still looking for one sword or even the tablets, but even still, like, they could be anywhere.
Yes, like, just because you need the sword to get to Mothula doesn't mean Mothula can't also have a sword.
Right, right. Let's see.
You're about to see Ether right now on the left-hand side of your screen.
10 Weasel Ethers right there. But we still need the big key for Palace of Darkness, and I believe that was in the Harmless Hallway, so, you know, not too far from it at least.
But that is go mode for DT on DT's side. Both runners are now in go mode, just DT with the one sword advantage.
Yeah, we got a lampless go mode here, folks. And yeah, I bet finding that hint that a unique item in Pod was kind of a good sign for DT because, you know, really aren't a lot of unique items left that were on the menu, so...
Yeah, there is all sorts of, like, hey, here's your hint, very next thing you get, boom. What do I need with all the rest of the space? Oh, right, the big key. Oops.
Oh, looks like Gus is pausing inside the dark room here, wondering if he might be kind of consulting something, maybe a map or something to kind of get through here.
This room is it's easy to get off track, and once you get off track on it, then you're just spinning around in the dark forever.
Yeah. It's when I first started learning this dark room, I kind of always described it as it's easier than you think, but that doesn't mean it's easy. Like if you've done randomizers enough, you might have enough muscle memory to like just kind of feel the path as you're going through it, but you still can't see the path, and if you get tripped up, then it can be really, really hard to find your way back.
Gets through it all right.
Yeah, very nicely done.
Sometimes when you just leave the first thing, it sends you left instead of right if you're not holding exactly the right button, and that'll just, you know, set you off in a circle forever.
Yeah. And Gus also opening the safety door here in Turtle Rock. Good idea in case something bad happens on Trinex. So he also might check the chest as well, because another sword upgrade would help. He's just not going to find it here.
Yes. Unfortunately, we know where all the swords are at this point.
Yep, we had one in Hype Cave, one in Village of Outcasts, one in Ice Palace, and one here in Turtle Rock.
And that's a very nice Dark Turtles from DT.
Really, really good.
Gus taking another death on the laser bridge.
DT tearing up this Helmosaur mask here.
Tempered Sword making the fight a little easier than a bunch of arrows. And unfortunately, he got taking a third death, walking off the side. But good health refill before Trinex.
Yeah, definitely.
Then on DT, we'll be fluting to Meyer probably.
Yeah, at this point, a good mindset, and especially for all dungeons where Aga's not necessarily required for progression through the seed, is to still kind of try to end your main dungeons on top of Death Mountain, so you can go straight to Ganon's Tower. Then once you finish Ganon's Tower, all you have to do is mirror on the pyramid, take care of Aga Tower right there, and once you finish, you'll be taken right back to the top of the pyramid, so you can take on Ganon right after that. So that's typically what you wish for when you're doing all dungeons, so you can just kind of take care of Aga 1 at the last conceivable moment.
Oh no!
Ooh.
Gus taking a death at Trinex, getting hit by the big head.
Yeah, Trinex is pretty rough. I mean, looking at our health, we have much less health than what we would have in a vanilla run of the game. You know, only on Master Sword, only on the normal magic meter. This is a pretty tough fight, all things considering.
Yes, it is. Oh, and we have a Godmire.
Yes, we do. Big key in the second chest we find, so DT gonna go straight for the ending. Gus in with round 2 of the Trinex fight.
And the first head is down.
Oh, careful with your magic. I think you do have the green potion still, but... Or does he? Okay, yeah, he does.
Okay, good. Yeah.
So has to be careful, though, because a hit from Trinex's main head would kill him.
Whew, whew.
Okay, does get that down, but still has to finish him off here.
Not out of the woods yet. And meanwhile, DT is through the dark rooms in the mire.
Man, I just, like, turned away quickly to watch Gus, and he's already out of the dark room. That was really fast.
I mean, you didn't miss anything. You couldn't see it anyway.
That's fair. That's fair.
Whew! And down goes the Trinex. Gus finishing off that fight.
Ooh, Betty's really happy with that. Maybe not happy about that red rupee, but still, it's good to be through a hard fight like that.
DT down to a heart and a half in the Vidi fight.
Okay, just
and through phase 1. There you go, just some arrows.
There we go. Vitreous goes down.
That will be the 9th dungeon for In the Name of DT.
All he has left is just 2 on top of Death Mountain, 1 on the inverse world from the pyramid, and then the battle with Ganon himself. Don't get the bird toss, but we do get the bird slash as he's frozen, not being able to do anything.
He's a mean bird.
That's true. The murderdactyls, as we often call them, are definitely no friends of ours, for sure.
And a nice Cane of Samaria block use by Gus in the Mire 2 room there.
I love that Cane of Samaria so much. It's so cool how you can, like, just use a bunch of different, like, enemy kill strats with it, and just a very unique item that you don't really see a lot in Zelda games, except for the games that have the Canis Maria in them.
Gus checking the bridge first finds a small key. So an extra small key there. And there's the big key.
And much like DT, heading straight for the back. So he deals with the Meyer Dark Rooms.
Well, kinda. We'll kinda see it.
Well, yeah, fair enough.
And now DT has his first small key. Looking for that big key in Turtle Rock, which we know is in the big chest, or the big key chest, rather.
Because of how Turtle Rock routing generally works, he'll be checking chests along the way there. Now, as you remember, we did see a sword upgrade from Gus here, but because this is hard mode, that sword upgrade will be just a rupee amount for DT, so going to be sticking with this tempered sword the rest of the run. That's okay. Tempered sword, not much different from gold sword, so...
No, not really. Difference between the guaranteed 1v1, 1-and-1 versus Ganon, and just, actually having to learn the fight.
Right.
Green Pendant Turtle Rock. It's always nice to see, because then you know it's probably not going to lead to something, unless it does.
Yeah, very true. Okay, Gus got through the dark rooms, and now he is doing his vitreous fights. I'm gonna use the cape to kind of get some of these free shots in. Ooh. Does have a blue potion, though.
And there we go, through phase 1.
We almost got a parting shock from Vitreous there, though, but thankfully avoided it.
Oh, and Gus going with hammer strats for phase 2.
We'll get him down much quicker, but it is still kind of a risk because you have to get pretty close, and Vitreous does a ton of damage, but does make it through. That is Misery Mire done for Gus.
Only Swamp and Ice left. Quick dungeons before the Ganon's Tower climb. DT getting the small key out of the big chest. Lonely key in such a big chest. Like, it's almost sad to see. But we need that small key. It's important.
Yeah, I think with the routing Turtle Rock expected you to take in this seed, I think you had to pretty much get that small key from the big chest. Couldn't exactly do a shortcut around. And here we're gonna see a red platform with a shadowy figure floating around this room, trying to make it out. I'm going to put my mouse cursor on his mouse cursor to still make it look like it's the way it's supposed to. Okay, okay, there we go.
Back to light. So, outside of, a handful of overworld locations, I bet that lamp is in Misery Mire.
Yeah, very well could be. It was a god mire, as we established, and we didn't find any items in there, so that could be a interesting place for it to be. I also want to say that we found like none of our main items out of sequence, technically, so because of that, like, you can't really deduce from that because it seemed like all the items were found before Dark Rooms.
Yeah, everything was in sequence. At least all the items.
Yeah.
The only thing not in the sequence right now are the players.
Yeah.
Oh, and DT almost getting hit by that head again. But that's the difference between Master Sword and Tempered Sword Trinex Phase 1. Lots faster.
Yeah, you don't have to use the hammer either. You can just hit straight up with the sword. And there we go. Trinex is done. And DT going to be heading over to Ganon's Tower.
One quick tower climb, and then a second quick tower climb. And then it's game over. For Ganon.
Yeah, and kind of, examining the situation right here, like, DT has a pretty definite big advantage right now. He has all the main dungeons done, plus the sword advantage as well, so, just normal execution is going to be going a lot faster for him. I feel like at this point, the kind of last hurdle will be the Aga Tower Dark Room, and as we said before, if you have the lamp, it's... if you have the fire rod, rather, it gets a little easier, but could still be a point of contention, though, for sure.
Most definitely. But I think both these runners can handle it without any real issues.
I mean, yeah, they handled all the other dark rooms just fine. What's one more?
And now we're going to see Masters this fight. Oh, hey, right there on the torch.
So yeah, those boots we found, definitely required.
Yeah, they weren't necessarily required for desert, were they?
No, because I believe the small key was up there on the torch, and the big key was in the normal map room, so... Yeah, the boots were definitely required, so thankfully they found those early.
Although I suppose logically, with the key there, it's required because the game would expect you to steal the key from the back.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah, that's true. So that is Argus done for Gus.
One more quick jaunt over to Ice Palace, and then it'll be on to get the key off the torch himself.
Yeah, and with the way Gus has been playing this, he has definitely been playing like he is in Go mode. So because of that, there is a sword upgrade in Ice Palace, but hard to say if he's going to want to get the big key and go for the big chest just to get it. But he doesn't know it's there, so it's not like that'd matter anyway.
Yeah, at this point, I'd be hoping it's in Ganon's Tower.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it's just not going to play out that way.
Yep, not today.
And to think, if he just checked one more house in Village of Outcasts, he could have had it, but that's the way Randomizer goes. And, with Gus, as we mentioned before, this is the third. This is the game 3, so these were the bot choices for the seed. You know, after DT taking the first 2 games, I bet that in a way Gus kind of feel like he had to gamble it a bit because he knows that DT has skill, he has good execution, and because of that, you know, once he kind of was in that state where it's like, I could be in go mode, he probably had a sense of feeling like he needed to just kind of go for it at that point. And that's perfectly understandable, for sure.
That's how I would feel if I was playing against anybody in this tournament from, like, race 1. Lots of really good players in this thing.
Oh, for sure. Definitely.
And one thing the silver arrows definitely will help with without finding the lamp is magic usage in the Ganon fight.
Oh, definitely.
Because trying to pull off the silverless Ganon fight with the fire rod is extremely difficult.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, DT still has that green potion too, so he also has that to fall back on as well.
We're going to see Moldorm again.
Ooh, really nice. I was about to look like a poke right there too, but he got it just in the nick of time.
And it's on to the hardest version of the Geometry Wizard.
But still a much faster fight than what the AGA 1 equivalent will be.
Gus just walking by the sword. By sword.
Only he knew.
A nice double. Almost a triple. And another nice double.
Okay, so if you're going to think it's time for the Ganon fight, you would be wrong, because we still have AGA 1 to take care of in this all dungeon seed. So we're going to see DT bunk right over the hole, mirror out, and go to the Light World AGA Tower.
And Gus using the blue potion in the cold steer fight. Master Sword Cold Steer, not as easy as Tempered Sword.
Yeah.
And that's the last buff.
Okay, so say goodbye to that mouse cursor sprite again for a little bit of time as DT equips the fire rod. Gonna see if he can light his way through this next section.
Gets the maze key.
I think he actually went out the normal entrance really quick just so he could reset his position. Oh wait, no, he's in the next room. Never mind.
Yes, he's making progress.
And I want to say that was the last room, too, so he is through.
Fire rod certainly helps with the Aga climb.
Checks the hint. Find out what we already know from Skullwoods, that there were some cash inside. Man, the hints are, like... The hints just seem to be giving just the wrong piece of information slightly. Like, you know, the flippers were also in Skullwoods. Why not mention that?
To throw you off.
I guess so.
Oh, Gus down to a half heart, but it's gonna make it into Ganon's tower.
And another thing that's really nice about all dungeons, especially in this case when DT had to use magic to kind of navigate through the dark room, he will be getting a full magic restore right after Aga 1 as well, so that's also going to be very nice. He'll be set up right for Ganon with full health and full magic, so it's also nice to kind of be able to do that before if you still need some resources.
Yes, that's a nice benefit of the Aga fight being right there.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have the Moon Pearl, you don't get that benefit, but at this point, both runners have the Moon Pearl.
Yes, they do.
And now the boring Geometry Wizard fight. At least the lightning looks exciting.
Yes, it does. Meanwhile, Gus picks up his big key from Ganon's tower, and then grab a small key right here, and he'll be heading up the climb. Actually going to be checking a few extra chests, maybe to see if he can find some more safeties, or realistically what he's probably... Oh, or no, he's going to warp back. Never mind.
Just wants to get that one small key to climb the tower with. Don't want to go up without any small keys, just in case.
Yeah, that's fair. Meanwhile, Aga 1 is still going. He's enjoying the blue energy ball attack a lot in this particular seed. There we go.
Just want to give you something to remember him by.
I guess so. Also, let's look at this timer. We are under 140 in an all dungeons seed.
A hard all dungeon seed at that.
A hard all dungeon seed.
Going to Cape Strats, knowing he's got the blue or the green potion. Forcing through that one cycle phase 2.
And yeah, as you can see from that potion he just used, hard mode doesn't give you a full meter, so gotta be very careful of your resources here.
Yes, the arrows in Death Mountain were found.
Nice torch glyph from DT.
And down will go Ganon. And with that, DT will finish first.
And he'll finish with a Mr. Saturn font SRL time of 1 hour, 39 minutes, and 8 seconds. Gets your GGs in chat. That was a really, really fast all dungeon seed. On a hard mode, no less.
Yeah, that was a really fast seed. So now Gus is through the Landmo 2 fight. And we'll be heading into the Wiz Rovers. While that's happening, let's see if we can pull our winner up in here. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
GG.
Thank you, Clifford.
That was a fast seed.
I could not have been happier with that, honestly. In addition to like item placements and everything just kind of working out, I felt confident in my execution, which has not been happening much lately. And I mean, all dungeons in under an hour 40 is, I mean, that's quick.
It really, really is. Especially without a lamp.
Yeah, that was kind of hoping for it. But I realized that I was just down to the possibility of lamp being my go mode to get through like Agate Tower, which I've never done. I was like, I think today's a good time to learn Agate Tower in the dark.
Looked like you've been doing it before, so you
I actually never have. That was my very first time.
There you go. It's free with the fire rod.
It definitely helped. It would have been a lot more difficult without it, but I was going to give it a shot anyway.
We thought you were making a mistake going into Ice Palace to full clear it, but that sword actually paid out huge.
With hard mode,
tempered sword.
Being able to find tempered in hard mode is always a blessing. I mean, in some ways it can make certain things a little too easy, but lower hearts generally, Master Sword Ganon's not really ideal. So it just worked out.
Yeah, definitely, and it's probably also a good feeling to know that even if you didn't get that one in Ice Palace, the other one, the one that would have been replaced for you, was actually in Chain Chomp Room, so you would have actually gotten that along the way as well. So.
Oh, was that?
Yeah.
I didn't even notice that was a green 20.
It wasn't. It was a red rupee. It replaced itself as a red.
Oh. Wait, so is that different than swordless replacements?
It apparently is. I think after they're in the pool and they get replaced and they just become red rupees.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
But if the swords and swordless get completely replaced with the other thing.
It's interesting. So I guess Gus found that one as a sword, and that's how you knew.
Yes.
Yeah. And again, with Gus's routing, like, he was looking really great because he actually went to Palace of Darkness as soon as he got to the Dark World because he hadn't cleared Eastern yet. So because of that, like, he had Ether Medallion. So when he went over to Village of Outcasts, because he went to Hype Cave first and got Ice Rod, when he got to Village of Outcasts, he got Mitts, and that was his go mode. And because of that, he actually skipped out on the sword that was actually in Village of Outcasts because of that.
Oh, wow. That's a really interesting route, then.
Yeah.
He probably had all the items before I did, then.
Yes, he did. Again, just this the sword disadvantage. Yeah.
He was in go mode minus a sword because he was only on fighter sword.
Nice.
Oh, and Gus being called a dingus by Ganon because he forgot to mirror to the Light World first, because he does have to clear that first before he does that.
And now the quick climb of Agate Tower. Dinner time for the guards. So, anything else you enjoyed particularly about that scene?
It just had a really, really fun and straightforward flow to it. It was, I think genuinely, it was an enjoyable seed to play.
Did you like having all 3 Light World dungeons cleared before Dark World access? Because that was kind of fun.
Yeah, that was interesting. I don't know that that's happened too frequently. But again, I mean, the progression just led from one to the other, so go for it. And Moon Pearl at Desert was kind of... I mean, it kind of makes it so that you didn't really have a choice. Because I'm trying to think. Book was in Paradox Cave, I think. So
Yes.
you're basically... Okay, so Eastern wouldn't have been required before Dark
No,
World, but...
Sure wasn't.
And I guess technically Hera wasn't either then, but... I mean, it's right there, so...
Well, you would have been able to get to Hera because Flute was in Ice Rod Cave, so you know, it would have still been there. But yeah, technically both of you did Eastern and Pod out of logic because neither of you found the lamp, and could have been anywhere at this point.
Well, I know where it is.
Oh.
I went back afterward and I found it. You might see it on the restream in maybe 5-10 minutes or so.
Okay. But yeah, with that game, that puts you at 8-2, I believe, and that actually means that you are 2/3 done with your matches. You know, how you feeling about the rest of the way? I know you still have your 3 games you still have to play against the top seed Rywick coming up in your future.
Yep, and those are going to be difficult matches. I mean, I know from talking with him he'll disagree with this, but he's top seed in the group for a reason. He's a very skilled runner, very good at the game, and those are going to have to be 3 matches that I bring my A game to make them worthwhile. We'll see what happens.
Well, definitely. Best of luck to you. Great display today, and you know, also for this series, going 3-0 against just this one particular matchup. Very well done. You know, you're definitely looking like you're in good shape, but you know, there's still a lot of rando to play, and you know, you have some very talented runners in your group as well. So, best of luck moving forward.
Yeah, for sure. Anyone in this group could win any match, and the fact that I've got 5 races left, if I were to go 0-5, it's going to totally shake up the stand. So anything can happen. Like you said, there's a ton of rando left. But that's that. Thank you, Slim. Thank you, Clifford, for the commentary, and thanks to R Sigma for tracking today. And I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Fun play.
Most definitely. Thanks for racing.
And with that, we'll start paying attention to Gus here as he finishes up his run, working on Aghanim 1 right now. I'm actually curious to see how many energy balls we actually have here. We've already had one of them, it looks like.
The answer is a lot.
Well, yeah, true. It definitely felt like DT was in this fight for a really long time, so... And the fact that it's an all-dungeon seed, I bet makes it feel even longer, because it's like, I'm right here at the end. Like, come on, hurry up, let me through.
And with that, the full refill, beat percent is no more.
Mm-hmm.
It's time for a Ganon fight. Oh, he's giving good text this time. You know you can kill him now.
Yes. You're not being called a dingus, so you know that you're good. So far, it looks like he is approaching this very well, being very efficient with his spin attacks.
Master Sword Ganon is just an exercise in patience for the first 2 phases. Oh, and a good spot.
Oh yeah, especially for phase 2 as well. Gonna get a lot of hits in here. Using the hook shot very well as well. Still not quite in the phase 3, but I believe those hits right there probably put him in there.
Yeah, I think we're there now. Yep. And on to phase 4. Unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, the wrong arrow was set. Yeah, I believe that's an aspect of hard mode where, because you can't use the silvers until the Ganon fight, that equips the normal ones by default.
And that will do it. As soon as the pig finishes exploding, Gus has finished.
And he finishes with an SRL time of 1:51:07. Get your GGs in chat, because 1:51 for an all dungeon seed is also pretty dang good, especially when you have just Master Sword you're working with, and the fact you didn't have Lamp as well to route through those dark rooms. So very nicely done for both runners here.
Yes, very well done.
So I guess we'll see if he also wants to come in and talk very quickly before we wrap this up.
Hello. GG.
Thanks. GGDT.
Yo, thanks, Gus. GG to you. Nice finish, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you have any thoughts on the seed?
Well, I asked for a comfy seed, and I think this was a pretty comfy seed after all.
Yeah, I could agree with that. Nice and easy-ish for a hard seed. Like, got everything you needed pretty quickly and in sequence.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as you enter Dark World, you pretty much just had to like go do dungeons, and well, that would put you in go mode eventually. So it wasn't like any weird routing or any annoying things you had to do.
Yeah, I was actually looking at kind of what you two were saying to each other after you both finished, and you know, you brought up DT's routing. In all honesty, I think that your routing was actually, if anything, a bit better than DT's. You actually, instead of DT went to Eastern right away, like after the Kakariko checks. You actually went to South Shore. You got your flute, you got your boots, you got all those other items. You went to Hera, where you got the stuff you needed for that. Then you went to Desert, you were in Dark World, and then immediately starting with the Hype Cave check into Pod, you pretty much had all the items you needed right there, while DT did the kind of the Village of Outcasts start. So you actually had all of the items for Go Mode before DT. What kind of made the difference here was DT decided to do full clears of Swamp and Ice, and as he was going through Ice, he did find another sword upgrade, and that kind of had tempered for like a lot of those late game bosses. And you know, there were some, you know, Master Sword with some of those late game bosses is definitely a challenge, and we saw the death on Trinex, and just even in that dungeon in general. So, if anything, like I'd say you routed this seed really excellently, and we honestly thought DT was actually going to be behind at the very end at all.
Yeah, well, I felt pretty good about my routing, so when I saw that he got done, I was like really surprised. Like the one thing that I was worried about was like the fact that I only had Master Sword, so I was afraid that like that could make a difference. Because as soon as I picked up the title mitts, my reaction was to like go and check Meyer and Turner just to see what medallions they were. And in that case, if I had that medallion, I would just like go more dungeons and hope I would come across a sword.
Right, and that sometimes, and especially in a position like this, because looking at your record right now on challenge, like I bet you kind of felt like this was a time where you did kind of have to gamble and almost be aggressive a little bit. And was that kind of what was kind of going through your mind a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, hey, definitely not a bad call at all. And as we've said before, I think I even said this in the interview for the game too, is just, randomizer, sometimes things like this just happen. Just one difference in routing or one different check could definitely give a much different result than you're anticipating, and that's kind of what it came down to. But you showed some really excellent Master Sword strats. I believe you didn't even take a hit during the Ganon fight there, so very well done.
Thank you.
Well, all right. Do you have anything else you'd like to say about that seed before we start wrapping up here?
No, not really. I guess thanks to you guys for commentating. I'm looking forward to like watch the seed afterwards. And yeah, that's about it. DT once again.
Thank you for running it. So we got the easy job just talking over this. You have to like actually do all the work and stuff.
Yeah, well, this seed wasn't that bad, for once at least.
Oh, really quickly, how'd you feel about the Agate Tower Dark Room? Did you feel at least comfortable, have enough with the Fire Rod as you're going through that at all?
Yeah, I've done those enough times by now that I have a pretty good feeling about where those lamps are, so...
Okay.
I'm not too worried about that.
Okay, cool. Good to know. And for those watching the restream, we did find out that the lamp was on the digging game inside Village of Outcasts, so that's where that lamp was the whole time. Still very much in sequence, and yeah, that's where it was.
Seems good.
Okay, well, I guess with that, we'll start wrapping things up. Thanks to both of our runners, Gus and In the Name of DT, for putting on this tremendous show for us. And definitely consider giving them a follow. They're both excellent runners of this game. Thank you, our Sigma, for being our tracker for this race, keeping all those buttons pressed behind the scenes. It looked like the tracker was always up to date at all times. So really appreciate having that to kind of fall back on in case there are things we miss as commentators. And of course, Clifford, thank you for calling this race with me. It was a pleasure. And yeah, thank you for joining me on this one.
No, thank you. It's a blast, as always. Looking forward to the next time. But, most importantly, thanks to all you guys out there for watching and hanging out, because without y'all, we wouldn't really be doing this, would we?
Another fair point. That's very true. Yeah, definitely thank you to everyone who joined us for this as well. So as far as upcoming races, at 6:30 p.m., I believe, on this channel, we'll have another match. We'll have Layra GG versus Solski. And it looks like
a barn burner, that one.
Oh, I bet it is. And just to see what the settings are, open, Uncle Assured, hard, key sanity with all dungeons as well. So that's going to be definitely a marathon. So come back if you want to check that out in the meantime. Okay, well, with that, I think we're going to be signing out. Thank you for watching, everybody, and we will see you guys next time.
Have a great afternoon, everyone.